Hello veterans, I am Stephen Harper, Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy retired, and Executive Director for Military Racquetball Federation. We're here this week to talk to you about the sport of racquetball and where it came from. When I was in the Navy back in 2009, I saw a Marine who had an amputated leg, and that's why I got my calling, my vision, and my ministry to go help disabled veterans and wounded warriors. So with the help of the Department of Veteran Affairs in funding this opportunity, and with the help of our sponsors with Head Racquetball and Pro Pen, and to the facility here, Landmark in Dallas, Texas, and also to our sponsor, Racket World, we're going to show you through this week and through this training video on the fundamentals of racquetball, the benefits of it, and actually how it's going to actually change people's lives. Unfortunately, right now, the statistics from the Department of Veteran Affairs states that we have at least 62,000 veterans returning home, and the number is growing, that suffer from major injuries, from amputees to wheelchair, and another 800,000 who suffer from mental illness such as PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and other anger management issues. We're seeing how racquetball, compared to other sports, is changing our veterans' lives, caregivers, and rebuilding families. The sport of racquetball started back in the 1950s from a gentleman by the name of Joe Sovic out of Greenwich, Connecticut, who actually used a paddle and a wall and created racquetball that we have now. From the paddle, he added strings to the racket that we use, and that's how we actually get the sport of racquetball. We're finding how this sport has changed people's lives in our veteran community from both the mental and physical aspect. From a mental aspect, we see how it is a strategic thinking, how it's increasing concentration, how it makes you think analytically. And then from the physical aspect, how it's going to help you with weight loss, muscle tone, and even get a good game in. So I brought some friends and fellow veterans along with me this week, so we're going to teach you the fundamentals of the sport. One thing that we're finding is in the sport of racquetball, the reason why it's different is because it's a self-competitive sport. In other words, you don't need a team to be able to enjoy the game. One thing that we're seeing is the more you practice, obviously the better you get, but it's also a challenge to you. So that talks about the mental aspect. The more you practice, you're learning how to hit the ball fundamentally, and then from there, it's more of a strategic aspect. So we're going to show you a couple things today during this video on how the benefits of racquetball is actually changing people's lives. So we want to thank the crew from DTX, from our folks here in Dallas, Texas. But one thing I want to show you is I want to show you different types of balls and the reason why we're using adaptive sports, and we're calling it adaptive sport. This ball here, as you hear, is the same playable ball, but we understand that we have a lot of veterans who are dealing with PTSD, and our regular balls reminds them of gunshots and reminds them of being back on the combat field. This ball here plays the same, but it's actually softer, lighter, and therefore the veteran can concentrate. Another ball that we use, let's just say one of our blue balls, plays a little bit different. And that sound right there reminds a lot of our veterans of being back on the battlefield. And that's what we don't want to do. That's the reason why we use an adaptive sport to bring this sport to the game and to our veterans. These things that we're using, so we have different types of balls. We have a blue ball, a pink ball that we use with our ladies and from our cancer victims or our cancer patients. We're supporting the Cancer Society and those by using the actual pink ball and on the ladies pro tour. We're using the green ball. This ball here is for our competitors. As far as tournament play, we use normally a green ball that actually moves a little bit faster, same width, same dimensions, but it just plays a little bit different. And the last ball we use is our purple ball. This is used by our pros on the RRT circuit. This ball plays a little bit more truer, a little bit more solid. But again, the colors of the balls and the shapes of the balls is not the important thing. What we want to do in this training video is to show you, the veteran and the caregivers, the fundamentals of the sport. So again, I'm Stephen Harper, MRF, Military Racquetball Federation Executive Director, retired Navy after 20-some years, and now we want to bring the sport right into your home. So we want to say thank you today. We got a lot to learn. We got a lot to get through. So on that, we're going to go ahead and get started.
My name is Chip Parmalee, and I became part of the Military Racquetball Federation about 3 years ago. I was hurt in 1982 on a three-wheel motorcycle accident and really felt things were going to be quite different for me at that time. I got lucky and hooked up with a hospital that specialized in spinal cord injuries, and wheelchair sports were a big part of what they taught and how we adapted. So I began playing many sports right after I got hurt, but racquetball was one that I kind of held off on because I played many hours a week before I got hurt and was a little concerned about how my able-bodied friends would think of my wheelchair game. So it probably took me a good year or so to start playing racquetball again, and it was a learning experience. When I approached the court with some buddies of mine, I think I got beat 15-0, 15-1, 15-5, but it improved, so that was fantastic, and it was all about improvement and self-awareness. The game was a little different. In a wheelchair, we get 2 bounces as opposed to an able-bodied game where we have 1. That 2 bounce can be the great equalizer. It really enables you an extra second to set yourself up in play. So it's a phenomenal way of playing. I think wheelchair racquetball is really one of the best adaptive sports for people in chairs because you're in a confined space. So that being said, I joined Military Racquetball about 3 years ago, did an exhibition with Stephen Harper in Dallas, and we got to work with 20-odd folk that were involved in the Veterans Hospital in Dallas. So we did a seminar and kind of educated them on racquetball and wheelchair racquetball. And since then, I've had the opportunity to be part of 3 or 4 other exhibitions that he's hosted around the country. It's fantastic to see people change their mind about where their disability is leading them. So it's fantastic to take someone that's really struggling with where they're at in life and to see that there could be a massive change in their overall awareness and their life acceptance of where they're at and how they can improve. So I feel that racquetball is a phenomenal tool to get people where they want to be, especially with the military, with everybody that's serving our country and coming back disabled. They need an outlet like this to help out. So I really felt that military racquetball was something that I could benefit people in. So really excited to be part of this video and part of the organization and association, and thank you much.